Where are we? There we are. Hey, how's everyone doing? Hey, my name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws, and welcome to Monday Afternoon Live. We always get together on Monday afternoons at, let's see, let me just turn this on here, at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And on Mondays, we always look at something that has to do with landscapes. Sometimes that could change into seascapes and stuff. And if you want to be a part of the group that gets to decide what we're going to draw, then join our Facebook group, because we always vote in the morning at the picture we want to draw, and then we draw the winning vote. And today, this winner came in as it just won by one vote. So you never know what you're going to get. But I'm glad you're here. We're going to take a look at drawing today clouds, because this picture involves clouds. And I'm going to show you probably what I think is the number one mistake that most people make when drawing clouds. And hopefully after today's lesson, you will draw them like a pro, or at least you will be aware of this one common mistake I don't want you to make. So let's see, who's in the house? We are live. I am live, so if you have a question, throw it in the chat and I'll try and get to it. John is here, and Kevin. Happy Monday, Kevin. Where are you coming? Kevin's in, you were rain camping in Ohio Friday. All right, sounds good. That's rain to start the weekend, and then it ended off fine. Yeah, we were camping last weekend, so we had a little bit of everything. Rain, wind, it was crazy. But nonetheless, here we are. Sharon is chiming in. Hey, Sharon, glad to see you there as well. So let's jump right into this, okay? So I want you to think of this idea here, Father, and this is all about the trick to help you draw clouds a little bit better. Father, mother, son, daughter, and baby. All right, I want you to remember that little phraseology, okay? And what that is, I think when people draw clouds, the biggest mistake that everyone makes is their clouds become too uniform and too pattern driven. And that's very hard for us to overcome, because our brains like to take something that is complex and turn it into a pattern so it can help us to understand what we're looking at. So, for example, if you were to take like a very simple cloud, most of the time you're going to do, if I just said draw a cloud that's flat shaped, you're going to draw it something like this. And this is what we want to avoid, this idea of all of the shapes being exactly the same size. So this is where we use this idea of mother, father, son, daughter, baby. All right. So let me move this over the way. So what it might look like something like this. Here's father, mother, son. Daughter, baby. All right. So I should probably add another something on this side here, but you get the idea. If you go through this rhythm in your head, your clouds will all have different variants. And this actually applies to all kinds of things. Like if you were going to do a series of rocks, you might go here, father.
Here are some TV shows.
No, not like Family Guy. Father, mother, son, daughter, and baby. You see, so you end up getting a variety of things. So you could, hey Lana, how are you? So you could use this idea over and over again to break up a pattern that you might draw. Okay, so that's really what it comes down to. It's just trying to stay away from patterns when you draw clouds. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into our picture here. And we will apply that once we get there. As I'm also while I'm on it, I do want to show you one other thing. Pretend like this is your horizon line right there. All right, and look at this cloud is front up here, and if we draw it, let's just like do something like this. All right, there's father, mother, ooh, brother, baby, father, mother. Okay, there's a nice variation. Okay, we want to. The other thing you want to think about is when you're drawing clouds, you have to think about perspective as well. So in this case, this cloud would be closest to us, and then we would draw another one that would be in perspective, and we can go with brother, father, mother, sister, son, baby. And so we start using perspective to add depth to our picture. So let's say father, mother, brother, baby. See that? And so we're going to do that when we draw our picture. So you have two things. You have the variation and then perspective, right? But it's really the variation I want you to be aware of. All right, enough of that, and let's do it. All right, hold your pencil by the back end here like this, and let's go ahead and just lightly get a frame here that we will start to build this picture on. And you know what? As I was kind of warming up today, I noticed that there's a gentleman in this picture who's fly fishing, and he's right here, believe it or not. You see this? There he is, right there. So you could end up adding. We might add him, but that's not my intention. But we'll see how it goes. Okay. All right. So we got our frame here. First thing I want you to notice, and let's get some guides in here. It's mainly distinguish between shapes. See, that's exactly right, John. Using that mantra will help you change variation of shape and size. All right. If you don't do that, then you're gonna start creating these patterns, and then it looks less like a cloud. So look at the side here. Let's get some guides. And first thing I want you to notice is this photographer who took this picture did a real good job, because he used the rule of thirds to try and get some interest. So along the right-hand side, go ahead and just kind of break your picture down into thirds on the right-hand side. Hey, Sandy, we're just getting started, so you're just in time. On the other side of your picture, look at this. He's got this down to half. You see that? So let's come down here to half. That's going to help give our picture some interesting contrast. All right, so the first thing is let's draw that mountain in the back, and I'm just going to come in here very lightly. Very lightly. And I'm going to jump all the way down to the bottom. And this is interesting. This is where the river enters our picture. So go ahead and put a mark there. And then remember, this is where the river enters our picture from the other side. So let's kind of come up here at an angle. Stop short there, and then just kind of comes up here in the direction, almost like this. What is wrong with this pencil? This is bugging me here. All right, let's come over to this side here and get the the line of the other side of the bank put in place, and it kind of comes like this. If I go too fast, just throw a little comment. Jump to the other side, the right side here, and let's get this mountain here. I'm gonna add two colors here so I can comment as we go. Yeah, we're gonna get this mountain in here next. Okay. And then let's drop this first cloud in here, and I'm gonna, a lot of times the clouds are these cumulus clouds. There's a certain air pressure. I think it's air pressure where the cloud will come down and it won't come down any further, and it's like the cloud is resting on a piece of sheet glass. So let's start with the biggest one first here, and I'm just going to kind of come across the top of the sky there, and then now I'm going to use that little system that we just came up that I just shared with you, and there's an Father, daughter, son, father, all right. All right, we'll leave that and then we'll come back to that, okay? Let's jump down here now to the bottom. And this part of our drawing we're kind of done with. This is what I would call like the gesture drawing, where we just kind of get a feel where everything's going. Now we want to walk into the second phase of our drawing. That's like the construction. And you might look at this picture and like, well, there is no construction. There is no construction here, but there is actually. And let's start with this first bank, the bank that's closest to us. And I'm just going to come in here and put an edge here, almost like this was the edge of the reeds coming out of the water. And it gives it some thickness, you see? We'll come back in and fill in detail, and then up on this side, look at this now, we've got this same thing. It's a little bit smaller. Some bushes there, but this will give us some idea of thickness. The land is thick. We've got this great, it looks like there's a fence coming in here. So I'm going to put this in here also very lightly. Oh, water movement. Okay, we'll hit that up, Sandy. Sandy says she has hard time with drawing water, especially conveying movement and reflection. Yeah, I'm just going to go through here now and add some fence posts. Okay, so this growth of trees is the next big element. So let's let's think of the whole grove as one big mass. And I want you to think of like, what if you took a big thick piece of wood and just the thickness of the wood represented the trees and it was sitting on the land. So what do I mean by that? So what I want you to do is let's start with the bottom part of the trees, and I mean this line right in here. Look at this. Coming up here, coming there, and then the line goes up like this, and the line is like that. You see that? Let's put that in first. have a lot of leeway here that you can get away with it looking different than the picture or different than mine, because it's just going to look like a great landscape when you're done. Okay, so the next thing I want you to draw then is, think about, like, if this was, like I said, a thick piece of wood. You see, this is like the edge, it's going up here. Just like that. And do that lightly. This is going to only be a guide. It's going to help you to think of this thing as mass and volume. Okay, this back end comes here like this. You see this? Let's put that in. All right. I'm going to erase these red lines here. Now we can go into and start to let's render this out just a little bit. All right. So let's start. I'm going to start with this first group of trees here, and I'm just looking at it closely, and it's going to have a. In fact, before I go any further, I'm gonna add a tone to them all. I'm gonna add a tone to this whole lot. All right, now I can come in here and start working these trees up just a bit. Go slowly and really, as I'm doing this, I'm referring to the picture. At the same time, I'm really trying to think of what would a branch texture looks like. And as I'm drawing along, I'm going to drop in a darker tone in this area here and make sure that my lightest trees are going to be right in here. All right, let me erase that so you can kind of see what's happening. right? And if I haven't, I don't think I've said this yet, but do please like the channel. If you're not a subscribed member to the channel, please subscribe. Take a minute, hit that bell, all that good stuff. Comment. Give me a comment whether you are, last week I ran a poll asking people if they thought these are too easy or too difficult, and many people thought they were a little bit, there was enough people who thought they were too advanced, too hard. So I've tried to simplify these live draws just a little bit. So let me know. Let me know if they're more appropriate, more up to your speed. Okay, now look at this. So thank you for that. All right, look at this in here. Look at the bottom details. You see that? Let's be very mindful of that when we finish our grove of trees in the distance there. I'm just kind of going through and making some slight adjustments. For example, in this area of my drawing, let me show you. You see this little area right here? It looks too it looks too even, and I want to break it up a little bit to get some more variation. Like this I really like. I really like the variation that I'm creating here. All right. Variation is key. So let's see here. So we'll maybe darken the ones in the back just a bit. And then maybe just darken the bottoms here. Just all right. That breaks it up a little bit. I don't feel they are too hard, just too fast. Oh, okay, but I'm trying to learn to keep up. Okay, that's true, and okay, that's a good, Sandy, for both of us, that is too, I need to learn. It would do me well sometimes to slow down, not as far as teaching wise, but in my drawing. There are times when I can slow down and try and investigate something a little bit more. On the other hand, to speed up, put your mark down, and move on will keep your marks looking really fresh. And I think that is a great skill, is not to just to keep moving forward. Quick drop, boom, 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 and it will give your drawings a lot more life to them if you understand what I mean. So don't be afraid. Put it down on the page, right? Okay, next thing, I'm going to squint. I'm squinting my eyes, looking at the photo, asking myself, where are the darkest darks and where are the lightest lights? So in this, let's just add a tone to this whole entire, an even tone going all the way across this one landmass right there, like that, you see? let's add that same tone, very light tone, to the mountains way in the distance. Keep the mountains in the distance light in value. As long as we're still on that big mountain in the background. Now look at the picture very closely, and I see that mountain in the background having two values. It's kind of a lighter value and then a little bit of a medium value because of the shadow of the clouds. So let's come in here and be very careful. You know, as I'm doing this, Sandy, I'm thinking of just speed wise, and a lot of time, if you're watching this video, you should be drawing about the size of about that big. Here's a little pad I have. You see this right here? This pad is about as big as my head. This size is almost too big. So you should be drawing pretty small during these hour videos because it just takes too long to cover a lot of space. So keep your drawing small. That would also help you speed up just a bit. Yes. If you are drawing on a smaller pad, you can cover a lot more real estate. So, this is only like 5x7 is the size of the picture that I'm working on. So I'm just slowly adding to this mountain in the background. Yeah, exactly. 9x12. Drop that, divide that down, or even, you could even put 2 on a page, or even you could put real 1 centered in the middle of the page with a nice, beautiful white border. That would be nice too, because if you wanted to, I have like a lot of little sketches framed throughout the house, and they look really good when they have that big, wide white border. All right, let's drop another tone into the rest of the mountain there that is facing us. And as I'm dropping this tone, I'm just kind of looking at some of the patterns of the shadows. Okay, let's go ahead and work on this bank here that's closest to us. And this is all going to be a lot of brush, high grass. So on this front edge here, I'm just going to start adding this texture of grass. And then right here where I've kind of stopped, I'm going to then move up just a bit. You see this? So this line doesn't become totally even. All right, then we'll come up a little bit. There it. Oh, I see, Tamara. You come in just a little bit late to these because of the 3 hour. I'm gonna assume that's what you mean. All right. It's all about variation here. So I'm going to think about this whole entire bank, and the thing you want to be careful of is, look, the reeds might be long here, but then they get real short back there, you see? So you want to make sure that this thing has depth to it. So I'm jumping in between with a little bit of tone and grass texture. I'm even leaving some of the tone that I originally did. See, it has a nice grass feel to it. Kind of doing these little stair steps here to break up this wall of grass. Now I can also see I still have that original line. So look at this. I'm kind of adding a tone along that original line to kind of. This is where my grass is coming down, and then it's dropping off right into the river. Okay. I'm going to keep moving forward here. I'm going to go to the bank that's in the furthest. kind of continue doing this idea, what I'm working on right now. I'm gonna just ignore our little fly fisherman back there, but you can surely add them if you so desire. Just going in and adjusting some of my tones, my values. I really like to aim to get my values right before I start adding a ton of detail. That is really helpful. Just darken up these fence posts a little bit. I'll give you guys a couple more minutes here. While we're doing this, let me just say that if you're watching this later on and you're looking for a community of great artists, I would recommend that you join our Facebook group. It goes by the same name, Learning to Draw, Beginning Drawing with Kurt Aspland. That's me, a dad who draws. And there is a link down into the description that will bring you right to our Facebook group, and you can join, and we'd love to have you. All right. Hey, Margie thanks, Marjorie, and I'm glad that I am glad we've returned, and happy to be here with you. Okay. Let's go ahead and move into our water. Let's move into our water here. And first thing I want to do is I'm going to give just a slight tone. And when I'm drawing my water, I'm going to go back and forth. Okay, so I'm just going to come in here with a tone and make sure it's I'll get my pencil lines and to be very flat. Nice long strokes going across. This will immediately help to add a little bit of texture to our water. Right now, it looks like a road, but when we start adding reflections, that will give the illusion in our eyes that this is a stream versus being a dirt road. All right, let's start over here on this bank here, and let's start adding reflections. And just go straight up and down with these things, and we can get that different look at the picture there. And look at this, I've kind of made a bit of a mistake on mine. It's always great to make mistakes because you can learn from them. Look at this. Oh, don't do that, Kurt. Look at this area right here. Look how light I've made it, where look in the picture. Look how dark that is, you see? I've got to really step up my game there. Okay, so there's a lot of ripples in our water here, so I'm gonna convey those by making smaller marks like this. Just little hash marks. Almost like you're just kind of going along the river, wall, just like that. And what I'm doing right now is I'm squinting my eyes, and I'm really asking myself, what is the darkest dark? What is the lightest light? And one thing that pops out to me here as I'm looking at this, let me bring up a new layer here, is the amount of contrast. Look at that. The amount of contrast between the water and that dark shore. That's a huge amount of contrast. Whereas opposed, look at this. Look at the amount of contrast I have so far in comparison to my water and the land. You see, so I've really got to make my land much darker than the water here. You know, they're coming up. We're gonna about 1 minute from now. We're gonna jump right into those. Marjorie was asking regarding the clouds. They're coming right up. So I always save the best for last, right? Okay, so all right, so there's contrast. That's a much darker value. That works much better there. I'm going to add more value to the far side of the, I've got to add more value to the far side of the shore here so the water will pop out more, you see? And then these are going to need reflections. Even though it's not in the picture, I'm still going to add them. All right, before we do the clouds, last thing I want to do is add this tuft of grass, these bushes, right here in the bottom corner, right in here. You see that? Looking for variation now. Don't overdo this in the corner here. Just need a little something. All right, let's jump into these clouds now. Margie, I'm sorry. My sister-in-law's named Marjorie. All right, let's look at this cloud here. So we've got this big shape here on top, okay? So I just want to think of the bottom part here. So watch what I do. I'm just gonna come in here and go back and forth and add just this bottom layer. You see that? Margie. All right, just keeping it very flat on the bottom. And one last thing of value I'm checking is look at that back mountain. That back mountain, that whole mountain is darker than the cloud. So I want to make sure that it doesn't blend in with those clouds. I want to keep them nice and white. All right. Okay, let's get this. Let's put another group in here, and just remember these are going back in perspective. So I want to make them a little bit smaller. There's father, daughter, brother, father, mother, brother, daughter. Okay, I'm going to put another one back here maybe. This is going to be oops, may have gotten. You really have to concentrate, not so you avoid patterns. So keep it light. I'm going to even go in here and add a little bit of, since this is a drawing, and this is not a painting or anything like that. I'm going to add some texture to the bottom of the clouds, and in the shadow area, I'm just going to you kind of set the stage with value, some guideposts as you go along, and then you can jump in and do it a little bit more, what just feels right. I hate to use that word, but nonetheless. Sky, I'm going to add the sky as a darker value to help pop off the whiteness of these clouds. Do you look for shapes in the clouds? Bigger shapes. I think when Sandy, when I'm thinking of clouds, what I'm really in my mind thinking of, like, I'm creating globs of clay. Boom, and put a big huge piece of clay there, and then a smaller one. And I don't think of it as flat. I constantly am get my hand around this idea that everything has mass and volume. What's in front of what? I don't like to think really of outline per se. Almost really do. Here's another little thing really quickly I'll show you that you might find helpful here. I don't have room, so let me draw it. Let me just say this is a cloud here, okay? Now this is what happened here? We just went green. Hold on. Hold on, we'll come back in just a second. I don't know why it always does this. All right, it's back now. Give it a second here. Okay, so here's a cloud, and let me show you what one thing that I'm doing here is when I have like and you could draw this little thing on the side here, in the notebook, first thing I'm drawing is I'm thinking of like the bottom part. It's in shadow, okay? And one of the things that tricks that you can do to create something that has round and form. Let's bring back let's bring back our trusty cylinder here. Here's our cylinder on the side. And if I tone one side of that cylinder just like this, and I create a core shadow. That means like right here at the edge, I'm going to add a little bit of darker value. This is going to say that there is light that's reflecting off the ground and hitting the bottom of that cylinder. So when we see this shading pattern, our brain, without us even knowing it, says, "Oh, that's a round form." Okay? So I'm using that same idea when I do my clouds, in that, I'm coming down here on this edge and I'm darkening this edge right here versus this real bottom edge down here, you see? So this little idea will really help me to sell the thickness and volume of the cloud. And so I'm using it. Let's see if I have this up here. Let me show you where I'm using it in my picture, and I did it without even thinking, like right this little detail right there. You see that? See how I just, without even thinking, I left a little bit of edge of light? That's going to create roundness. When the viewer sees this picture, their brain's going to think, "Oh, that's a reflection." Even if they didn't know what they were looking at, their brain tells them what they're looking at. That doesn't make any sense, but I think it does. So anyways, there's a little thing to help you think of roundness. All right, let's get rid of that and come back and finish this drawing up here. We're a little bit over time. Bring our picture back, right? All right, and I'm going to erase this mess here. Cancel. All right, there. I can erase all of that. All right, come back to my picture. And let's finish these clouds up. I'm going to outline these mountains just a little bit in the background. That'll help separate them from the sky. And then the last thing I want to do is I'm going to come back into my water here and add just some more reflections. How would I do that? Okay, all right. Let's put our fly fisherman in. Let's do that, but this time we're gonna put him in wearing a dark hat. that's how we're gonna do it. All right. So let's see. Let's just come in here now. Now this is what I'm going to do on that. That's a great question, by the way. I'm gonna move our picture over here so I can show you this idea. So when you draw a human being, I want you to remember this idea. Let's just say you've determined your human being to be this tall, okay? And you're welcome, Margie. divide that in half, and the whole upper body and lower torso are in the top half like this, you see? And then the legs extend all the way down here, okay? So this is what I want you to think about. So let's look at our little man here, and he's right here. And so let's do a little test on the side here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw maybe a shape like that. There's his arm coming out. And then I'm going to leave like this right here is the top of his shoulders. So I'm going to leave space for his neck. I'm not going to draw that. And now that might be his head, but instead that's going to be his hat, you see? That's what I'm going to do. Now, if you could erase that little spot, but so let's come into here now. This is going to be the shoulder of him right here. All right, and then I'm going to just add a little detail. I don't know if that looks like him. If I was painting this, I could go back in with a little. If I was painting it, then I would come in like this. I would use a little bit of white, hit the top of his shoulders there. He just looks like a little bit of a bush. But drawing wise, I would just do like a little silhouette. All right, I think that's it. That's what we're going to go with today. I want to add a little more value to my water down here. That's what we got. Thanks for watching, everyone. My name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws, and this has been our Monday afternoon live. Like I said, please join our Facebook group and post your work. We love to see it. Go out there, make your day great. All right, bye-bye. Margie and Sandy, you guys tune in. I'm going to shout out everyone's name who left Tamara and John and Lana and Shannon, Sharon and Kevin. That's the crew. See you guys later. Bye-bye.